Hi, this is Jackie.
This is Diana.
And you're listening to Homebodies Only, where we break down and dissect HBO series, one-season series. And today's episode, our second episode, is about Scenes from a Marriage, episode 2, or they call it Scene 2. And it's called Poli, P-O-L-I, which right away, what did you think of when you saw that title? Did you have something in?
No.
I thought of, well, guess what I thought of?
Polyostringity?
Polygamy. I thought
Polygamy.
somehow it was going to have something to do with polygamy because
Got it.
they talked all about monogamy last time. Okay. Well, yeah. So, starts off, we were wondering if this was going to happen in a soundstage again, but this time we're with Oscar Isaac, who plays Jonathan, and you can see that it's snowing on the set, so we know that it's further on in time, probably a few months, I'm thinking.
We find out it's 8 months later, I believe.
Yeah, 8 months. I didn't think it was that long because I was confused what time of year it was in the other episode, I think. He's just laying in bed, listening to music, reading some book. I thought someone was showering. Did you hear the water at all when he was laying in the bed or no?
I did not.
Okay.
Although we do know what the rain...
Yeah.
We do learn about what that is, but I did not catch that.
I heard the water.
But I did catch...
Sorry.
I did catch a glimpse. I don't know if they had like something about their daughter, Ava, and I just was thinking, she is so darn cute. They flashed a scene with her, I feel like.
Well, she calls his name. She says, Daddy.
Okay.
Then he goes into her room, and I figured out that, no, it is the sound of rain in her bedroom. It's on an app to help her sleep.
Yes.
So that was the sound I had heard. She talks about she wants to talk to mommy, and he said, you talked to her already? You said goodnight to her? I'm like, oh my God, are they separated? Like, I didn't, that's that's where my mind went to. Said she'd be back on a train tomorrow, the next day at noon. So, do you want to talk about the next part, or do you want me to mention it?
Yeah, I mean, he's going on. The next scene is him going up to the attic, right? His new office space. You think
it's partial. There's the desk there. It's a really cool desk, and it's looks outside the window, and there are some bags of stuff. Like it looks like they maybe are going to do that renovation they were talking about.
Yes. And he's clicking away, and boom, he obviously is missing his wife.
Yeah,
and he is about to take care of business.
Measure himself.
Yep. So we get a little snapshot of that up in the attic.
Fun on the computer. Yeah. Yep. Then I guess we need to see that. Then he walks down the steps. Oh, I want to mention what he's wearing. He's wearing a
gray
nice
sweater.
No, it's brown. It's a brown card.
Okay.
It's a cardi. Cardi, not a Cardi B. It's a cardi, and the pants. I think they're black. I was like trying to really eye them. I don't really know.
It's probably a nice corduroy.
It's pretty. It's pretty bad. That's all I want to say. Like it's just like frump. Hello, frump. And later I see that he has a T-shirt underneath that's like it is a green tone. I don't know exactly, a little greenish blue. No idea what he decided to mix those two.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes down the steps. Oh, God. Goes into the kitchen. That made me feel awesome because that kitchen is more cluttered than mine.
It's a cluttered mess.
I don't know how you felt. I was worried about you, Diana.
I was wanting to clean up real quick.
It was.
Like, how do you go to bed with all of that stuff on your I mean, there was boxes and things and...
Yeah, like...
There's no counter space. Where do you prep a meal?
Well, yeah, and apparently they were in the middle of one. They had, so I froze this scene, and I was like, I'm taking stock. There were jellies, like there was more than one preserves, like one of those, preserves bottles. There was, on the stove, there was a teapot, there was a pan, and then there was a pot with a top on it. And then I think the pot with the top behind it had also some kind of pot. I was like, what you been doing there, buddy, since the wife's been gone? But I don't think she's such a homemaker. Like, he's the home person.
I think he's the ones probably that is cooking and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
there was, I'll just mention some other things. There were, I believe, breadcrumbs, like a thing of breadcrumbs. There was olive oil, salt, I think, cooking oil, Cheerios. I don't know if you saw the Cheerios.
Yes, I saw the Cheerios
in the background.
Yeah, Honey Nut.
French press. I think there was possibly a Tabasco sauce that was opened. It was that like, or sriracha, not sriracha. It was more like or a hot sauce.
And they had the Nespresso machine.
Yep.
On the counter too. I noticed that too. I was like, oh, I have that.
And he had some.
We got that in common.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it. Actually, I thought about that. So he opens the fridge, grabs some cold pasta, and like starts eating it. And then
no, just diving right in. No twirl, like a little twirl, but he was just like shoving that pasta.
Yeah,
like
I could like almost taste it, the cold pasta. Sometimes it tastes good. So, someone comes to the front door. Surprise!
Yeah, at first I was a little like nervous because I didn't know what that was going to be. I actually didn't expect her to come home, but that's what happened.
Yeah, I
thought it was something else. I don't know why.
I thought it was. I did kind of think it was her. I mean, obviously she was not supposed to come home, but I did kind of think it was her. Also, lights came on, and then he turned on the lights. He's smiling. I know he looks and he's smiling, and he's surprised. And so she comes in. Now she's dressed very professionally. She's got her suit on. I think it's a gray with white pinstripes.
With her little turtleneck.
Busted out with a turtleneck, hair in a bun. She looks very professional.
He embraces her with a kiss, and she's very... I remember, like, she didn't embrace that kiss at all. So, like,
no,
that right there, I was like,
Yeah. They're kind of talking about... He says something like, pick up in the morning. I'm like, pick up is in the afternoon, isn't it? I don't know. So I don't know if he meant drop off, but he said something about taking Ava or seeing Ava in the
preschool.
morning. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
So that's not really pick up, but he said that she ditched some dinner and lied and said Ava was sick, and he was like, don't use that too much. She does ask for wine. If there's any wine open, there is. He pulls it out. She gets like a couple texts, I think, within a few minutes. It's not, pretty close together, and she looks at it, but like kind of hides it in her coat pocket, or her, her blazer, her power blazer pocket, and says, "It's Kate." She still thinks I'm on the West Coast, which I don't know how she took a train. I don't know.
Yeah, that was confusing. A lie for sure.
Yeah, and
you could tell.
Jonathan's talking about. He goes, "Oh yeah, I've tried to reach out to Pete. I wanted to go to lunch with him, and he's saying he's busy or something, and it just seems like he's avoiding him. I don't think he was mad at me. He kind of worried about that there's something wrong there." And she's
and here I'm like, you really want to have lunch with that guy?
Same thing. He's like, I love to hear about his adventures. I'm like, oh God. Anyway, whatever, Jonathan. I don't know. So he's like, oh well, he's probably busy, and so they sit down, unless I've missed something else, and she's drinking her wine and she's eating like a cracker, and he's like, oh man, you're making me hungry. So
I'm gonna get that pasta.
He goes back to the pasta, brings it out, starts eating it.
He was doing like the fork on the tooth thing, and it was bothering me.
He was making kind of a lot of noise, and I was like,
it was a lot. I think there was a lot going on.
It was not attractive.
Look for you.
No. And then he starts off with, "Are you still mad at me?" So you come to understand that they had a conversation, a fight, sound like, I guess, on the night before, I think, right? Or
on the phone about the renovation, right?
Yeah, it was something that he said to her on the phone. I guess she left like mid-renovation, and his desk is upstairs, but his books are downstairs. And he says he apologized because he's kind of blaming her again. And he's like, I'm not trying to be passive aggressive. I'm going to, I'll just move my desk back downstairs. It's fine. And then you finish it when you're ready. And she's like, it's fine. And, when he's like, I sound like I'm blaming you. And she's like, no, you can. Like, she's just like, whatever. Like, kind of just saying,
Can we get this over with?
Yeah.
I don't have time to like talk about this. You could tell she was just wanting to just get it over. Like,
yeah.
Very short.
Yeah. She's like, whatever.
Yep. Whatever you say.
Yep. And she's drinking the wine.
Chugging
chugging it. But it was not a lot, though. Like, there was still the quarter of the glass in there. Like, I was like, She looks upset. Like, again, something's wrong.
Something's bothering her.
That's why I was glad she had asked for the wine. But He's sucking the pasta, by the way. I make a note. So again, making the noise or whatever, which is not attractive. And she says to him, I came back tonight because I needed to talk to you about something. And it's not good. And he's like,
never good.
Okay, I'm here. Then he pops another forkful of pasta very unattractively into his mouth. I was like, your wife looks at you like that and says, I have to talk to you about something. He's like, okay, I'm here. I'm like, I would have been like, ugh. Like, I don't think I would have been able to put food in my mouth. Do you want to say what she says?
Yeah, that she fell in love with someone.
She fell in love with someone.
She went right for it.
Yep.
I fell in love with someone.
And she says, oh my God, that sounds stupid. It's so stupid. And she puts her head in her hands.
She's like, I don't know how it happened. It just did.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't say she's sorry, though. She says she met him in September, and he is Israeli from Tel Aviv, and he's relocating to the States, and she's kind of babbling on. And all I kept thinking was, I mean, I don't know if Jonathan's Israeli, but Jonathan was Orthodox Jew.
Right.
And it just like kind of was like, whoa. I don't know. I'm like, well, there's a tie there.
And she says something about like you wouldn't be impressed by him,
yes.
or you wouldn't like him because he's not an intellectual.
Yes.
Or an intellect.
She's like, oh, he's not someone like she's talking to a friend or, not her husband. Not someone you would think too highly of. You'd make fun of him. She's like, I feel terrible, but it's good for me.
Yeah.
And then
and she was like pounding her like chest, like, and it was good for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to think about, I went back in my mind to the first episode where we learned about like how they met and how she was like dating this rocker and she had this boyfriend or whatever. And I was just, I don't know, for some reason I started to think about like, what is it about her maybe too? Like what is it that she's looking for in these relationships where she just like is, I don't know. I was just thinking about, because he's like, oh, you tell the story and you tell the story. Remember the back and forth they had at that interview?
Yeah. Yep.
And anyway,
well, she had been in some bad relationships before Jonathan.
Yeah.
She seems to like
he was rescuing her or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So I think she says, please say something. And she said, I thought you'd find out about this on your own. And he was like, what? How?
Was I supposed to
and
know?
She's like,
right.
I thought you would feel it, like feel that there was a difference with her. And she's like, doesn't that say something? Then he has like an asthma cough and he knocks over the wine. And
she gets him the water.
Yep. She thought it would pass, but it's still going. And then she said it will keep on going. Like my mouth, well, first of all, my mouth drops open. Like my mouth was just like, what? Drops open. Then she just kept dropping the bomb. And then she says she's going to Tel Aviv because he's not relocating just yet. And says, well, also she could help with work there too. So she's like combining it. But she's leaving like the next night.
Right.
And this is when
we don't know how long she was gone for this trip. And it obviously is bothering him because of their daughter too, Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So then she does tell him his name and it's Poli. And again, my mind went to polygamy because I don't know if they chose that name on purpose. I know polygamy is a practice when they're obviously both, or there's more than one wife, right? Or you're with someone else. But I just thought that was kind of coincidental, and I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
Short for something. But I don't remember what.
She said his name was Saul, but I think it's his last name was like, oh my gosh, like Polykolov or Poli something, and they called him Poli. Yeah. Now she says it's a relief that he knows. And then he says, I don't know anything. I don't know what's going on here. And he gets up. Oh my gosh. Did you notice this part? Okay, I had to make a note of it. He gets up and you can't see him and you just see her. And he sounds like he went into a bag of bottles and cans and just like dove into them. You hear all this rattling. I mean, I was listening with my earbuds. It is like an insanely loud sounds of rattling bottles and cans. I'm like, what did he jump into like the recycling bin? I don't know what happened. And then he's like there and he's cleaning up. You have to go back. I was
gonna have to go back and rewatch it.
Why is that so loud? I don't know.
Because I just remember him saying like, go ahead, go upstairs. I'll clean up. I'll be up soon.
That's before this.
Okay.
But,
okay.
because then they go to him, and I thought they were going to show him, like, I thought he got really angry and, like, walked out and was, like, messing with the recycling. But he wasn't. He was right there, and he was, like, dumping the wine bottles.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wish you had heard it.
You don't see him react. Like, he's just, like, in shock.
He's in shock. And again, she never says, she does not say I'm sorry, which I thought was interesting. Not. So then she goes up. Yeah, he must tell her to go upstairs, right? He's going to clean.
He checks on Ava.
Not yet. Well, he locks everything up. He's turning the lights off. But there is a text sound again. And I thought maybe she left her phone down there and he was going to see a text. But
I did hear the beeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, he's locking up, turning off lights. He goes upstairs. She's in the closet changing. And what do we see on her back?
Mm-hmm. Marks on the back, and he points them out.
He points them out and says, "Ooh, your back's all bruised." And she starts to put the shirt on and shuts the closet door. So clearly, I think I know what the bruises are from. Do you?
I mean, I'm thinking. My mind went to two places. It was either something, weird is going on with this man, or is she in another abusive relationship?
Oh no, I think that. It was rough sex.
It was, well, that was my first thought. And then when we were just talking about the past, then I was like, well, is she in another one? Like, is this what she craves?
Well, she didn't say the other ones were physical.
Like, is she cycling back into that?
I didn't think about that.
But no, my first thought was like, if they were doing some like
funky stuff
with that. And she was like, sorry.
Yeah. I wrote OMG next to that. I was like, oh my God. Just so you know, she's wearing a greenish tone shirt, like a greenish blue,
like emeraldy-ish,
and then
sort of jewel tone,
and he busted out and took the cardigan off, and guess what, his shirt, not exactly the same color but in the same tones, and their walls are also this bluish tone. They've all blended, and I don't remember, I thought the walls in their bedroom, which I'd have to go back, were like a pinkish blush, like I thought it was more in that
a lighter shade,
not blue. Not in a blue tone. So I thought that was interesting. Then they talk about, she's like, did you get the dry cleaning? I'm like,
yeah. And I was just like, really? Like, I can't wait for this response.
He's like, no.
I loved him. He was like, no, get it yourself.
No, get it yourself.
I don't have time.
Tomorrow.
Like, I'm raising our kid.
I know.
You're off.
Then they start to talk about, how long are you going to be gone? And she's like, I don't know. And then she says 3 months. And I was like, what? Again, my mouth is just, I'm just like everything. Like,
you could see his face. Like, I'm thinking, you're not in the military.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't, you're not getting deployed here. What is going on?
I know.
Like, first, like with this, and every other weekend, I'm thinking, okay.
So then she starts going into, she obviously has thought about this. She's like, he's like, well, when are you going to see Ava? She's like, I can go every other weekend because I can do Friday to Monday or something like that. Do like
11-hour flight.
It's an 11-hour flight, doable. We have FaceTime, we have Skype. I'll be able to see her every day. And then she's like,
men do this all the time.
Oh yeah, and she says when she comes home, let's get back to that comment. She says she'll get a hotel nearby and have Ava go there.
She could stay the whole weekend.
This happens a lot. This happens all the time. Men do it all the time. And I was like, she's kind of right. But then he says, as long as you convinced yourself, well. That sets her off.
She snaps.
Oh, yeah, she explodes. She's always something like, you don't make, she said something about monster. I can't remember. She said, you think I'm a monster. And she's like, I don't give a, you know what? And then says the F word. Again, screaming. They like share a bathroom with their daughter. I don't know how the daughter is. I guess it's that Rain. It's that Rain app.
The Rain is magic.
Miracle. I'm looking into that one. And then I think she wants to talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the morning. And then she's still talking about it. And she's saying, let's talk about it in the morning.
Yeah. What is this word I wrote? Something about, she's like, we'll have to, maybe we can do like couples therapy for the process. And he's like, the process? She's like, for the detachment.
Detachment. And
she's like, he's like, what? She's like, for the separation. And he's like, do you want a divorce? And she says, maybe. And, she's like, let's do it gradual, like a gradual thing. And he's like, you're leaving her overnight, leaving Ava basically overnight.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not leaving her.
I'm leaving you.
And I was like, she's like, I don't want to fight with you. I just want to leave. So she said, yeah, like he's just like, what? And she's like, it's been 8 months.
But what happened in these 8 months, and what you wonder too then, going back to the first episode, was there something else besides the pregnancy news of why she was so awkward in that interview and so
well, here's
short with it, you know what I mean?
I actually don't think that the pregnancy was 8 months ago. I think because she said there was 8 months of wanting to leave. She said she was miserable. She says she thought the abortion would protect what they had. And then Kate said, you know, who has an abortion to save a marriage?
Yeah, here we go with Kate.
I know Kate. But that was actually...
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Kate.
Yeah. She said but then she said she was terrified if she had another kid, she'd never be able to leave. So if she's been wanting to leave for 8 months, I think the abortion thing came after. Like, I think that 8 months ago was before the abortion. Especially because it's driving me nuts, because when they were being interviewed by the student, that was not, and then now it's winter. How was that 8 months? Like, I think, I don't know. I could be wrong. That's my theory. And she kept saying how he was so angry. And he couldn't talk about it.
Clearly there was other things before the abortion.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are those things? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know some of the pieces of like the daughter and how they struggled and this and that and the other thing, you know, the whole like maybe setup of her being the breadwinner and him being the caretaker, all of that stuff anyway. Yeah.
And she was saying he was angry, and then he couldn't talk. Like basically she was saying sound like he was so consumed with himself and his own anger. And again, if the anger was toward the abortion, that could be part of it.
Did she say something about suffocation or passion or something? Did you?
Yes, we'll get to that part.
Okay, sorry.
So she says she's been laying awake. This part I was like, oh my God. She lays awake. She would be laying awake and wanting to check her pulse. This is the part. Yeah. And she said, just check if she was like alive, because she did not feel alive. She's like, do you ever feel like you just can't breathe? And I was like, really? That's really what you asked
asking
your
an
asthmatic husband?
Mm-hmm.
Suffocated. And he was like, yeah. And she said, I would ask myself, is this it? And she said she had no feelings. She said without any feeling. And she says she can't go back. And I know you think I'm spoiled and pathetic. And he's like, I don't think that. But then I think she said something like, she thinks that. And she's like, we've been living without any. And then she says, passion. So that's part of this thing, is that she lost passion.
Did they never have passion, or from her perspective, was she never feeling passionate towards him? Who knows?
I don't know. And then Jonathan wants to know who he is. And she's like, well, I told you. And he's like, no, who is he? I want to hear about him. He wants to see a picture of him now.
Mm-hmm.
So this part, he looked at the picture and he's like, is this recent? And I knew it. I was like, oh, he's young. He's going to be younger than her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, well, he's 29. And as we know, she's 40 at this point. I was like, correct. Okay. Oh, yeah, I already talked about that. He wants to know how they met. At a party, one of the work parties. And he said, he came up to her and said he liked her dancing. And Jonathan's like, since when do you dance? But, okay, I must be like the most naive, I don't know, where she's like, well, there was drinking and then there was Coke at the party. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I
wrote that down too in my notes. I was like, huh?
Okay.
Okay, so okay, then. They're that's what you do now?
Yeah.
When you're 40 and in the middle of a midlife crisis.
Just some Coke.
Just power up the booze and Coke in there. Yeah. That's gonna, dancing like Elaine from Seinfeld, I guess.
What was happening? So she told, and he's like, then what? He kept really wanting to know the details. And she said they ended up talking until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And then now I don't know. I said, he goes, then what? She said, then they kissed. And then he's like,
play by
then
play.
what? I know. And
I know.
I mean, and they went up to the hotel room and he said his, and she said, no, mine. And she said at first it was really awkward and she was laughing so hard. And he's just like, great. And she said, but it was liberating. They stayed in the room for 2 days and said she was sick. She even told him that she was sick. And then when she got back to see, home, because they were out. I think was this when she was in San Francisco? She was in San Francisco at some point. I don't know.
Yeah.
She and Jonathan started to like have sex again, like have a better sex life, and she was really happy. And she couldn't.
Oh, it's like Kate all over again, right? It's like
I know. I
felt passion until.
Yeah, that's when I was like, obviously Pete knew about this, and that's why he's been avoiding
definitely.
You. At first, I thought she fell in love with Pete. Sorry, it's like, oh no. She said that
Please
fell in love.
Pete.
I was like, that's not Pete, is it?
Ew.
Yeah. So she couldn't stop because she even told him she tried to stop, and she's like, but I couldn't stop, and he wouldn't stop, and she said she's in love and she's back to herself again and vibrant, and she even has she's a better woman now. She's a better relationship with her daughter.
There's something about being a mom for this character, for Mira. There's something about the whole role of being a mom. I'm telling you.
Like what? Okay, so Diana, for those listeners out there who don't know, Diana is a psychologist. Okay, I'm a speech pathologist. I don't have any speech things yet, but Diana, what's your analysis here?
I don't know. I keep writing it in my notes about this.
Like that she fights that she doesn't really want to be a mom.
She doesn't accept and she doesn't feel that she's capable of being a mom or a good mom, or she's always again Kate, I'm searching.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something about it, and then the way that they talk about the daughter or the sleeping. What was it? How bad was it? I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I can kind of relate to the sleeping issue.
Because then they had this, they alluded to, in the other episode, they were alluding to something about and then things got better. You were good with her and but you were so distant for so, what on earth?
Maybe there was oh gosh, I don't know. We shouldn't, I guess, speculate, but maybe she really did struggle with mom. Maybe she had being a mom and postpartum. Maybe she was jealous because maybe he, in a couple ways, he was better with her than she was, or she was also jealous of her, that the attention he gave her, which I know sounds gross, but that I know that can happen. Yeah.
No, and maybe she couldn't comfort her, or he was the one that, bonded. I don't know. I just think about the early stuff there.
Yeah.
And how long were they married before they had her? And how was that really? I just think about when was that a planned pregnancy? And were you planning to have a family? Because I got to tell you, my thought is she was career woman, right? Did he want the family? Because she doesn't appear to have wanted a family at all. No, she wanted a relationship, right? Yeah. She wanted to be married. Yeah, but I just feel like she just wanted a partner and to go through and be. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't know if we'll find out. I hope so.
I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't know. These are questions that I'll be asking the cast.
Yeah. When we meet them. Yeah. Yes. When they listen, because they're going to be listening to this podcast, I'm sure.
Yeah. Shout out.
So he wants her, he uses the word insanity. Is this the part where he says you sound like you're insane? Basically, or something like that. If someone was if you could hear yourself. I don't know if that's the part, but I think so. Yes, I think that is the part. And she was and he wants her to postpone the trip for a couple of weeks, give it some time. And she's like, you're the best dad in the world. This is going to be good for you. And it's the best thing for her too. I'm like, what?
She's just trying to validate her decision.
Yeah. And then there's
wait a second.
Sorry. Yes.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, he does say we can survive. He's trying to fight for it at this point. And he says, we can survive this. And she's like, you'll never forgive me. Is that when they hug? And he says,
but they had to, yeah.
I think
once again, I'm like, what? Is this where they start cuddling?
Yeah, I
And they're
think
like holding
so.
hands?
Well, the holding hands comes a little later. I think he's like, and she's like, "You'll never forgive me." I think that's when she starts crying really hard and like on his
Yes.
shoulder, and he's stroking her hair.
She's saying, I'm so ashamed.
Yes, and he says, "I
Right?
think I can," about forgiving her. He's like, "We can do therapy. We have something so real between us." Oh, I felt so bad. And then
And she keeps saying like it ended so long, or
Yeah.
she said
it won't
so
work.
long ago, but why?
Yeah, like she's referring to that passion, it sounds like. And he's asking for a chance, not overnight. That's when she says it's gonna be good for you. They go to bed in the same bed, which blew me away. Blew me away, especially because she was like,
spooning.
I just want to go. Yeah, but
she's like ready to go, and he's like, they're like spooning.
yeah, he so
She like
she's
strokes his
weeping.
face.
She's ashamed. That's when she says she's ashamed. He turns over. I thought he was going to get up, but he didn't. And then she spoons him. Now I want to tell you right here. I wish I froze it. Like I paused it. I did pause it, and I wish I took a little shot of it because the camera was like above them. I said it was aerial shot, but it wasn't really. It was like above them, and they were spooning. They were all the same color. It was all the blue tones. I mean, they matched perfectly with the pillows, the pillowcases, and their shirts.
It blended.
It all blended. So, like, that to me gives to the audience that they are still very much together, right? So you're like,
Connected.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and the fact that they held hands all night.
yes, the next shot is. Oh, by the way, so they go through the house. So they show them in that position. Also, even the lighting in the room, because it's now they turned off the lights. It has that blue tone.
Yeah.
And then the camera pans into the house, and they just go through the house. There are a lot of lights left on in that house. Okay, the one light was left on in the attic that I think can get hot. Then down throughout the house, they have these little lights on. They have the light on in the kitchen, like above
an
the
electric
stove.
candle or something in the kitchen.
I don't know. That bothered me because
That's a lot of electricity.
my dad, when I was little, would be turning off the lights, following us around the house. Turn off the lights.
What section of Boston are you in, people? Like,
Save energy. Okay. Stupid things. All right. In the morning, they are holding hands while they're sleeping.
yes.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
so
Wait. Don't go. Wait. What do you want to say?
it's like she has a moment where she realizes
But wait.
it's Jonathan.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Stop. So that's
Yes.
what's good. He wakes up
Yes.
and he's looking at her. And then she kind of wakes up and she actually, I don't really know if she totally opens her eyes, but she reaches for his face.
Yes.
There's a little smile. Almost like you're like, has she changed her mind? But then she opens her eyes again. Like, oh wait, and gets up and goes into the shower. And I wonder if when she looked at him and smiled, it was almost like I don't know. Do you think it was a feeling or do you think it was just like a habit? What do you think there, psychologist?
Could have been. I also feel like she fell asleep like that, and then did she have a dream or whatever, or like not forgot, but like woke up to like the reality, and then was like, it's not Polly. I'm next to my husband or something, because she's like,
or just like tried to
shower.
fight getting sucked back in, because she was like basically saying if she doesn't leave now or whenever, she won't. So.
Back to the cluttered bathroom.
Oh, I thought of you. By the way, the light's off in the bathroom too. There's no light on in there, which was weird. Again, it was like a bluish tone.
No, just daylight.
Also, I don't know. I could be wrong. I think she only used shampoo because it was foamy.
It was a 3-in-1 option.
Again, why does this bother me? It's bothers me. I saw a lot of foam because conditioner does not foam up, right? Suds up, suds.
And he's using his electrical feature.
I thought of you. I said she's going to be so happy. So again, the toothbrushing. It's
Only
always
in
got
the
to be
morning is he using the sonic.
Yeah,
he
turned it on and he was like, he looked PO'd, man. And then she brushes her teeth, which, yeah.
No.
Oh.
She's got to have a back end cavity over there.
He also was like hanging it out the side of his mouth. I mean, he looked like he was going to break it off. He was so mad. So then She puts on a bluish green sweater, just to let you know.
Yes.
Again, same tone.
Same palette.
Same palette. Thank you. I keep thinking the wrong word. She did also have these like plaid pants on that you only could catch like in one little glimpse. But again, that same palette, bluish green. She starts packing frantically, and she's packing with the clothes on the hangers, which was really bothering me, and apparently it really bothered Jonathan. I knew it would bother Diane.
She's just taking the drawers and like throwing them in there, and I'm like, how is the daughter not waking up?
Well, that was another. Point? Yeah, that was another. Oh, also too.
She's apparently a terrible sleeper, but she's sleeping through all the drama.
That rain app is really doing it.
I gotta get on this rain app.
So she can't close the suitcase. And he comes over to help her. And she's like, no, I got it. And he's like, no. And they struggle. He throws her.
Yes.
He threw her. Yes. And I was like, oh, Jonathan.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I know you want to kill her, basically.
To like startle her.
Yeah, it was
and like
quite a throw.
Put her in check. Like, look at like how bananas you look right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are literally emptying drawers with God knows what. I don't know what the weather is over there, but do you really need 19 pairs of wool fuzzy socks? I'm just saying. With the hangers and the thing and, and she doesn't have the dry cleaning. So what are you packing? Sweats?
I don't know what's happening. But I've just never packed with clothes on the hangers. I don't know what.
But there he comes, like folding everything.
He folded like the Marie Kondo style, and I'm not kidding, like making a joke. He literally folds the style she teaches you, the way she teaches you how to do it.
Yeah.
I know you were. Were you loving this part?
Loving it.
Pulling it off the hangers, folding it. And I was like, and then I'm trying to check out the clothes that were going in there.
There is nothing more attractive than that.
I know. Oh my God. Takes it off the there was a lot of hangers. Like I was like, I don't know, a lot of wooden hangers. Yeah. So she goes into Ava and she's crying.
Yeah.
Ugh. So you see her just sitting on the bed or whatever, crying. And then he goes downstairs and there's super dramatic music. Now I can't imitate it because I don't remember, but it's super dramatic music. He goes into the extremely messy kitchen once again, starts making coffee, and she comes in and even asks her if she wants one. And she's like, yes. Do you know what she said next, by the way? Like kind of whispers
No, I think I was paying attention to the coffee making.
Yeah, because it was
what pot are you putting in the machine?
She says, I can't do it. And I was like, oh, and then she goes, wake her up.
Oh, I was like, yes.
Oh! Like, and there was even like a pause there. Then he starts to unload the dishwasher. Now, here's what I think. Did you notice that? That I was like, you have all that crap all over the countertops. Plus, you have a load of dishes in there. Wow. So he gets an asthma attack. She grabs the inhaler, goes to give it to him, but then I was almost like, what am I doing? Like, you shouldn't help him? I don't know.
What, you're not going to help him through his asthma attack?
Yeah.
Are you going to let him die there right now? This is how it's going down?
Yeah, that was weird. She runs upstairs. Okay. Again, I have my earbuds in.
Mm-hmm.
She runs upstairs. I just have to read what I wrote. She brings her suitcase down the stairs with a herd of elephants. It is the loudest. Again, Ava does not wake up. It is like, bah, 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 bah. I was like, what? Why? Like him in the trash can earlier the night, and then her coming down the stairs. Is that on purpose? Like, I don't know. Did you hear it like that too? Was it really loud? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'm just,
Yeah. So she does that.
It hurt my ears.
It was like funny. So I don't know. I know it wasn't supposed to be funny, but it was funny.
It's as if she was just like panicking and like, I can't get out here fast enough.
Yeah.
And I've reached my breaking point.
Yeah. And he says, this is surreal, something about delusional. And he's like, it's 7 a.m. Like, where are you going? She's like, I'm going to the office. And he's like, it's locked. What do you mean? It's closed or whatever. She's like, I have a key. And she said she called a car. And he says he wants to fix it. And she says, I'm not attracted to you anymore. How do you fix that? And then I wrote, oof. I was like, oh, like
Why? Why though? Why? I wrote that down too, and I wrote why is she not attracted to him?
Well, I think that happens in a lot of marriages, unfortunately. But yeah, and then she says, I mean, this part, I did start to cry. She says, "Please let me go," and she hugs him. He starts to cry. She's crying. It is such a like weeping, even in the bed too, when she was like weeping, crying so hard. It's so sad. And then he won't let her go.
Nope.
And she's struggling to get away from him. And I was like, oh man. And then there's this weird siren type music. I don't know if you noticed. It's like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, but that came on too, like at night when he was gonna go block the doors and turn some of the lights off.
Yeah.
That same.
This one sounded a little more siren to me. And
is this like when he picks up the phone and calls Pete?
Oh yeah. Well, yes. First he watches her.
I jumped ahead.
It's okay. First he watches her get in the car and leave. And it was so sad. And it was winter. It's very white out there. Like clearly it just snowed. And it's so sad. Like he's just standing there staring at her leave the car. And
I can't even.
So he comes back.
And you try to like think of like, what is she thinking to be able to just leave? Like you haven't seen, how long have you've seen your daughter too? Like, again, there's something about like the whole, I don't know, conflict with herself.
Yeah. So he goes back in. Ava's still sleeping, miraculously. After the herd of elephants went down the stairs.
The giant suitcase, the biggest suitcase I've ever seen in my life. It's like a train, like a trunk. When you were like in, I don't know if you went to like summer camp, but like we had to like pack like these trunks when we went to like sleepaway camp, and they were like gigantic. That's what I pictured. It's like you have a trunk on wheels that you're just like, Anyway.
So he calls someone and gets voicemail. And then he calls Pete to talk to Kate. So apparently he called Kate. She probably was like, no way, man. Sends it to voicemail. Pete, I was surprised he answered, but Pete, he asks to talk to Kate. He puts her on, says to her, he's like, I know you know, I know what I know, and blah, 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 know what I know. Yeah. And he's like, God, when he started doing this, I felt like so badly for him. I want you to talk, I want you to talk to her to postpone the trip and therapy. And we can't totally hear what Kate is saying. And he's just like basically saying like, this is crazy.
He's just pleading.
Yeah. I felt with her. So bad for him.
Like you can change your mind.
And I felt like, I was like, this is her husband. And now he's powerless to do anything. And he's like going to this friend. And it's what a horrible feeling that you feel like your wife's friend can get through to her better than you can, know. Right. And then he realizes obviously that Pete knew, and he's like, F you, you're both pathetic. Okay.
Well, I mean,
no, I'm not
disagree there.
I'm not saying he's wrong.
Based on the dinner party.
He throws the phone. He does a moan, and he bites his hand and moans. Yeah. It was guttural. It was like,
you could feel it.
I cried again. Yeah. But I've been crying a lot lately. But, okay. This is the end. So then we see, obviously, Ava is finally awake, and
she finally woke up to that. The growling.
Yeah.
With all that happening. I guess the rain stopped.
Yeah.
So she's so cute.
She's so cute, but I have to say something really superficial. They clearly dyed her hair a weird red to try to make it
look like.
Don't do that. It's so false looking. It's like pinkish. I'm like, you can't. No,
that's not strawberry blonde.
That bothered me a lot.
Put a wig on the kid.
Or just don't do it. Like, who cares? Have her. If you really wanted a redhead, should have found one.
Yeah, and but that's the thing. Like, how dominant is that gene?
I think it is pretty dominant, actually.
It must be. I'm trying to think. Anyway. Yeah,
that's where it ends. Yeah,
I cannot wait to see episode 3.
Me neither.
Because I was, Anyway, we want to hear what you guys thought of episode 2 because we were shocked to say the least.
Yeah.
And it was a doozy. Please email us your thoughts, feelings, and your perception.
Yeah. HomeBodiesOnly@gmail.com. And just want to say, if you're, upset that we don't have any theme music, so are we. But I am learning how to do this.
Yeah,
so someday there'll be
some
theme music if you need it.
Maybe we can somehow contact
HBO.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. All right. Join us for the next one. Bye.